Hello students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We continue with our Early America series by looking at King Cotton and life in the South. Check the description down below for a fill-in-the-blanks worksheet that goes along with this video. I just ask that you like and subscribe. I apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. I do my best. As the textile industry in the North grew, the demand for cotton increased. Eli Whitney's invention of the cotton gin in 1793 allowed the South to meet this demand. The cotton gin used a spiked wooden cylinder to remove seeds from cotton fibers. Whitney's machine made removing seeds faster, allowing farmers to grow more cotton. However, growing more cotton meant holding more enslaved people. Cotton became the South's largest cash crop. Other crops included rice, sugarcane, and tobacco. Areas too hilly for raising crops were devoted to raising hogs, oxen, cattle, mules, and horses. Industry in the South was limited, consisting mostly of tools, machinery, cotton cloth, and flour milling. Because there were so many enslaved people in the South, the market for manufactured goods was small, and such items were purchased from the North or Europe. The Southern Cotton Kingdom society was dominated by the cottonocracy, people who owned 20 or more enslaved workers. Less than 1% of planters owned 50 or more enslaved people. Those who owned large plantations lived lavishly, building elegant homes and dressing and acting like European nobility. Most Southerners lived on small family farms. They may have owned one or two slaves and worked next to them in the field. Poor whites often rented the land on which they raised potatoes, corn, and vegetables. Unlike the North, few people in the South lived in cities. A small number of African Americans in the South were free descendants of those who had been freed during and after the Revolution. Others had purchased their freedom. To discourage free African Americans, some states passed laws limiting their freedom and opportunities. In certain states, free African Americans risked being kidnapped and sold into slavery. Despite discrimination, many free African Americans still made valuable contributions to Southern life. However, enslaved African Americans faced greater trials. They had no rights at all. Laws called slave codes were intended to keep them from running away or rebelling. They were forbidden from gathering in groups of more than 3, and it was a crime for them to learn how to read or write. No matter how vile their treatment, they could not testify in court. Most enslaved African Americans did heavy farm labor, but many became skilled workers. Some worked in households. Wherever they worked, they faced the possibility of violent punishment for many offenses. Enslaved African Americans had only one protection against mistreatment. Owners looked on them as valuable property that they needed to keep healthy and productive. Families of enslaved African Americans were often broken apart when slave owners sold one or more of their family members. Extended families provided strength and love, as well as grounding in traditional African stories, songs, and morals. Religion was also a source of strength. Enslaved African Americans found ways to resist slavery. Some worked slowly, broke equipment, and even fled to seek freedom in the North. A few led rebellions. In 1831, Nat Turner led his companions on a 2-month-long revolt. As a result of Turner's uprising, many Southern states increased restrictions on African Americans. Most Southern whites accepted the system of slavery. Supporters of slavery claimed that the system was more humane than the free labor system of the North. But critics pointed out that factory workers, unlike enslaved workers, could quit a job if conditions became too harsh. Also, critics noted, people held in slavery often suffered physical or other abuse from white owners. By the 1830s, some Northerners were urging that slavery be banned. The South was dependent on agriculture. It led the nation in livestock production, and farmers grew major cash crops such as cotton, rice, sugar, and tobacco. Because agriculture made so much money for Southerners, industry remained small and mostly served the farming community. Southern farmers began to depend on the North for industrial goods and also for loans to expand their plantations. Okay, now, here's your recap. When Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin in 1793, he probably didn't expect it would launch the Cotton Kingdom of the South. His spiky contraption sped up the process of removing seeds from cotton, which meant farmers could plant even more of the fluffy stuff and rely even more on enslaved labor to keep up with the booming demand. Cotton became king, but the South stuck to farming, buying most of its manufactured goods from the North or Europe. The cottonocracy, wealthy planters with 20 or more enslaved workers lived lavishly, while most Southerners got by on small farms, and poor whites rented land for their potatoes and corn. Meanwhile, enslaved African Americans faced brutal conditions enforced by strict slave codes, though they found strength in family, community, and faith. Some resisted by working slowly, breaking equipment, or even fleeing. Nat Turner's 1831 rebellion spooked the South into tightening control, while some Northerners called for an end to slavery. Despite the South's agricultural riches, its dependency on the North for goods and loans created a strange love-hate relationship between the regions, one cotton-fueled argument waiting to explode. There you have it, folks. That is King Cotton and life in the South, nutshelled. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. It'd be fire if you would smash those like and subscribe buttons for me. It really helps me out. See y'all next time on Nutshelled History.